Thank you. Yeah, you did.
You
In
want
the
to share?
middle. Yeah, we'll share. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting of January 29th, 2019. Roll call, please.
All 5 selectmen present, as well as town council and the town administrator.
Sharon, how would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
What do you think?
Thank you. Announcements.
Announcements.
Nope, all set, thank you.
Mary.
I don't.
Peter.
No, and there's none here either.
Okay. Just a quick note, I'd like to thank the Municipal Maintenance Department. If anybody has noticed, in the last few days, they've been clearing brush along the side of the roads so you can actually see what's going on and walk on the sidewalks. They've been cleaning up leaves and everything on the sidewalks and on the curbs, so our drainage system might actually work if we have a storm. And be careful when you see them out there, because it's pretty hard to do. The other piece is we had a relative of mine before the Board of Selectmen a couple times complaining about the current charter not being updated and available. The oldest one is 2016. Just want to let the town know that the 2019 update is being done right now as we speak and should be available shortly. Thank you, Mrs. Slavin. And
Citizens' comments.
yes, go ahead.
Anybody here for citizens' comments? Nope, seeing none, move on. Board comments.
Tony?
Nope.
Mary? Peter? Patrick?
I'll save mine for liaisons.
Okay. I'll pass today.
All right, appointments. Let's get on. All right, so we have Jillian Morton. Come on down.
If the
Looking
board members want to come up too, it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
The board members can come too.
Okay.
That's all right. That's all right. No.
Sit so you can speak into the microphone.
All right, so
Not
why
like you
don't you
can't hear
just
me.
tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to be on the board? of
Yeah,
directors?
sure. So I grew up in Wareham, went to law school up in Boston, finally bought a home here past year, and I'm happy to be back. I wanted to get in touch with the community, and felt like the Council on Aging was a good spot to be. I practice elder service care, real estate, estate planning. So I just offered pro bono hours at the Council on Aging. It's been a pretty big hit so far. And being there a few hours each month, just seeing there's some things I think I can help out with. I talked to the director, Missy, and she said that there were some openings in the board. So just thought it would be great to apply and a good way to give back to the community.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah.
Tony, any questions? Mary?
Questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Thank
Peter?
you.
Done.
Patrick?
I just want to thank you for putting in your time and so on. That's very nice of you, and I won't hold the fact that you're a lawyer against you.
Okay, good. Good. Thank
Are
you.
you looking
Yeah, you're outnumbered in the room right now,
Oh, I see.
so wise move on your part.
Are you looking for a partner, Peter?
I move,
She works for free, I don't do that.
I move we approve Jillian Morton to the Council on Aging's Board of Directors for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions of the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Should be
Thank you.
Thank you.
paperwork tomorrow.
Linda McKenzie. Is Linda here?
Nope.
Okay,
Not
then we'll do it anyway. Okay.
Which voting
Linda,
register?
yeah, Linda M. McKenzie of 3 Maritime Drive. I move that we appoint her to a position of registrar for a term to expire no later than March 31st, 2022.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions from the board? None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you.
All right, an application for a change, let's see. It says application for Barnacle Bob's, Inc., DBA Barnacle Bob's and/or BB's, 2424 Cranberry Highway for a change of hours. How you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Nice to
Pleasure
see
to
you.
be here. Tim Schifoni, BB's Bar and Grill, 2424 Cranberry Highway, across from Super Walmart. And I'm here before the board tonight asking for allowance of a change of hours. It's relatively minor, just adjusting to, seems little change in the retail way things have been going. And primarily it would be Sunday, instead of 12 to 12 or 12 noon to 12 midnight, we're asking that the board allow 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it seems to correspond with the majority of our business. On Monday, and again, instead of from noontime to 12 midnight, we're asking from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And at one point during the 6 illustrious years that I've had the pleasure of being the manager of BB's, at one point we were actually closed on Mondays. And then we went back to full-time, and I think this is more of intermediary type request for the board, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And the final one is on Tuesday, instead of noon till midnight, we're asking from noon till 11 p.m. And those are the changes.
Okay. Any,
Board have any questions, Tony? Mary?
I have none.
Peter?
all right, I move we approve the change of hours for Barnacle Bob's Inc., DBA Barnacle Bob's, and/or BB's 2424 Cranberry Highway. And the hours will be Sunday, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., Monday, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., Tuesday, noon to 11 p.m., Wednesday and Thursday, noon to 12 p.m., Friday and Saturday, noon to 1 a.m., Thanksgiving and Christmas closed, New Year's Eve, noon to 1, and New Year's Day, 4 p.m. to 12 p.m.
Second. Correct.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions from the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0.
Yeah.
Thank you
Tim.
very much. Have a great evening.
Good luck.
Take care, Tim.
Discussion and vote on proposed warrant articles for Springtown meeting.
And A and B are really,
Same thing.
it's really the same.
Yeah, it's the
thing,
same thing, yeah.
It's written a little different than we originally set up.
All right, so we're talking about doing a couple of charter changes. I mentioned it to Peter today. That one where we have to advertise in the paper for positions. We can't, I mean, that's just not financially feasible to advertise every time we want to
Have a vacancy.
have a vacancy.
No, we discussed it the last time. We said we were gonna have to do a charter change.
Yeah, so I think we should do that. While we're doing that other charter change that Peter wants to, if we're gonna do that, then
Yep.
we should do them both at the same time.
We still should, when we do the change, we should make it so that the openings are available either up on the wall or whatever.
And you know
And
what?
on the town website, which I've taken care of.
I think we should make sure that they're always on the town website.
Well, that's what I did.
That's a must.
And they should always be posted.
Yeah, they should always be posted and posted on the website, because
Yeah.
most people are into technology today. And they certainly probably spend more time on the websites than they do anywhere else.
Well, Jim Anise,
Newspapers, not so much, you know?
yeah, Jim Anise who brought this.
Sorry about that, guys.
Jim Anise who brought this up, went and looked, and he's satisfied that it's the way it should be.
If that's okay, that's
I
great.
think what the piece, when we do this, we need to specify who is responsible for keeping it updated. That's the biggest problem. I've done this before, and if you don't keep after it, then it falls apart.
Well, we're gonna have to make sure, because it's gonna be we should make it part of the requirement, that way it'll just get done.
I think the chair of each committee should be responsible to contact the town hall when there's a change in membership. or
Yeah, but
someone
who?
leaves.
The selectman's office, clerk?
Yeah,
I think it should be the clerk, because the clerk's who swears people in,
well, the clerk is the one you have to bring your
resignation
papers.
to as well, so.
But between the two of them, we should have it so it's set up and nobody can say, well, I
All
didn't
right,
know.
so I'd like to see us get that anyway done.
All right, so if we
And
make a note
You want
of
me
that,
to work on that with
Yeah,
Rich?
could you?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I'll
since
make a
you're
note.
doing the other one, you might as well
Yep.
do them both.
You want to read the one that you have?
Yeah, let me just make a note to charter change. Committee vacancies. Yeah, the redevelopment authority has voted to request an article regarding town-owned property at Littleton Drive. This was turned over from the predecessor of Eastern Bank, actually, back in 1981 to the town. It was subdivided. 4 of the lots were conveyed out of 47, but 43 remain. They're contiguous, so none of the lots are landlocked from each other. So the total parcel itself is almost 13 acres. what we're looking to do here eventually is put out requests for qualifications to see if we can interest people to put up affordable senior housing out there. The redevelopment authority has no interest in holding the land once this is done. It just wants to convey the land, but it wants to do so in a way that we control in advance what uses are put out there. We're concerned that putting it just up on the open market will lead to something like what we saw down near Red Brook Road if we just sell the land without having worked out something ahead of time for senior housing. So that's the impetus for doing that rather than just disposing of the land.
Question would be, you would work with a private company?
Well, you'd put out a request for companies to come in. You'd be working with people like the Preservation of Affordable Housing. There's a Cape outfit that does similar things. The private developers can apply for tax credits and things of that nature to make the affordable piece work for them, as we know, certainly through the 40B process we just went through. But in this way, before any conveyance of the land occurs and somebody gets control of it, the redevelopment authority will work to make sure that any project out there isn't overly dense, that we don't wind up like something that happened on Red Brook Road, but it will have enough units to be useful to the seniors of the town, as opposed to some of the proposals I've seen that just call for putting a few units up on the housing authority property.
You plan on selling or leasing the land to the developer?
If it's a lease, it would be 99, so, I mean, none of us would be around for that. Nobody's gonna borrow or get the kind of financing available without a 99-year lease. You're not gonna get a 10-year lease for this kind of thing.
So
The my preference would be to convey it, so it just goes to somebody, and but that's my preference. I'm just one of 5 on that authority.
So you're basically gonna be able to take those funds and then turn it back in and develop another piece of property and sell, the usual, what a redevelopment authority normally does?
Yeah.
You know, this was a nightmare when they tried to do the Westfield project.
Well,
And all the same conversation that we just started right now is part of the conversation that started then. Yeah, are we gonna lease it? Are we gonna sell it? We went out for RFPs, we're gonna do whatever, and it was really a disaster area. And I'm not so sure that the town belongs involved in housing at all. It just doesn't work well for us. It never has. When we're involved in trying to grow our commercial base, that's one thing. Now, seniors do have an issue. There are shortages of housing for seniors. And I don't really have a problem with us pursuing, in some method or another, as long as we keep it at arm's length, if you
Yeah.
get my drift.
Yeah, I assure you, we will not be requiring them to have major ball fields there and things like that.
Yeah, it's gotta be a way.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, first off, you make it not profitable for the people that are coming in, which is one of the things they did back then. And you end up with nothing, and you end up with a lot of hard feelings with everybody who comes and works hard to try to get it to happen. And I just don't want to see that happen again. And this kind of thing could end up that way.
no, I think a lot of lessons were learned from that.
Yeah, none of us
I
want.
certainly hope so, because a lot of us weren't there at the time. Some of us remember, but some of us don't.
Those of us who were long in the tooth certainly remember.
I crafted the last RFP for it, believe it or not.
Yeah, you poor thing.
Yeah, so.
Tony, any questions?
No.
I don't have any questions. I just know the redevelopment authority has no interest in being a landlord or anything like that. Just trying to get
Basically what a redevelopment authority doesn't do is
get things turned over and,
they basically seed projects and then they walk away after.
yeah, for the vision of our town, not somebody else's vision coming in here and just plopping something down, so.
I would be amenable to it if we had on it that part of the motion contained the part that doesn't allow us to lease the land, that we have to sell it and move it on.
Why don't we do this, that we'll get an article, put together,
Yeah, get something together and then
Yeah.
bring it in.
and then, because we have to go ahead and vote whether to include it in the warrant or not.
Because if we lease the land, then we're still part of it, and I don't think that should be the
And
way
if
it
you're
is.
not comfortable, then you have the right to vote no,
Okay,
okay?
yep.
Well, what I've written actually is to convey the real estate to the redevelopment authority. So it would be off of the town's plate anyway, because the redevelopment
Well, but
authority.
if we're conveying it to you, I wanted to have a contingency that you can't do that.
Okay, that's fine, but I just wanted you
No,
to
that's all
understand,
I'm saying.
there is separation already built into what I wrote.
Okay, yeah, it's separation from us to you.
Right.
But then you guys, I don't want you to be involved in leasing it.
Yeah,
I'd
we don't
prefer that if you're gonna put out an RFP, that you put it out, you get an entity that can, obviously have to make it profitable for them as well.
Yep.
But we get, of course, it'll get back on the tax rolls and all that, and that's good too. So,
You meet on Thursday, right?
No, we met tonight. We won't meet until next week before the meeting,
Okay.
this meeting.
Do you need to meet in order to change what you're gonna?
Yeah, no, Thursday, after the Glen Cove thing, we're meeting.
What are we doing Tuesday? No, Tuesday's just the interviews.
Right.
Well, the closing date for the warrant is 2 weeks from now,
Yes, you have a couple weeks.
so
yeah,
we'll get it done.
we got time.
I just wanna get it so it's clear and
That's fine,
concise.
yep, I'm
That's fine.
okay, yep.
All right, so we're
Fine.
good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have anything else?
No, that's it with that.
You
Uh,
haven't
believe-
listed
is
the
it-
meeting yet, so you can do the meeting after on Tuesday if you'd rather.
Is there any other warrants, any
There should be
issues?
Do that too,
Thursday?
yeah.
Ken Buckland,
That's true.
I believe there's some,
Let's see what he says.
from Ken, a couple different things.
To see if the town will vote, Ken sent, let's see, Peter sent this. This is Peter.
Peters.
Let's see, Ken. The following possible articles for Springtown meeting. Create a new redevelopment overlay district. That was the one that Peter talked about last week, I believe, right?
Yeah, Redevelopment Authority still hasn't voted whether we're gonna pursue that or not. The planning board seems to think they need more time to consider it.
Yeah, last night's planning board meeting said they were not gonna consider it this time. They needed more time, and they'd consider it for the fall.
Well,
town
if it's put on the warrant, they've gotta hold a public hearing, but
I
if,
understand, but I'm just.
yeah,
saying-
no,
We had 2 members that were there, and we heard from them, but we understood that they showed concern. I wouldn't say that they would not hear it because they have to hear it.
They have to hear it,
Yeah.
but they felt that there was insufficient time to discuss and take care of Springtown meeting.
Understood.
That's simple.
so, we'll get back to you on that. There's gonna be another one that Derek is gonna draft to increase the size limit, if you will, of the Tremont Nail Factory Revolving Fund, because right now it's capped at $50,000, but when Organibrand starts paying, it's gonna be more than 50 grand a year going into that fund, so
A lot more.
so it's gonna be, we'd like to increase the size of that revolving fund. Derek also wants to change some of the language.
If you want.
Sure.
Derek also wants to change some of the language, so we don't have anything ready for tonight, but that'll be coming before the board
Okay.
as well.
All right, so next is, here is the solar bylaw, section 590, and they say, reduce allowance for tree clearing, increase setbacks to residential properties, and clean up the text and grammar. So that's, these are all possible recommendations for,
That should go on to,
it has to go to the planning board.
that came.
That's
from-
actually proposed by the planning board.
that was done
I think
last
we
night.
should strongly review that, given that solar is one of the few things that come forward that have essentially low impact to our community and services and bring us a great deal of revenue. So we should probably understand the ramifications and costs before bringing forward such an article.
I think if I'm not out of line, maybe we should ask Mr. Buckland to come before us, before we close the
Yeah.
warrant, just to have some better understanding before we vote.
I think cleaning up language makes sense before I'd put additional limitations on it.
Okay.
So.
All right, next would be a nuisance storage bylaw, resubmit changes proposed to the 2018 Fall Town Meeting restrictions on front yard storage, and this is proposed by the Director of Special Services. I guess that never did happen.
No, it's gone on for a couple of meetings.
Well, it was voted for the study at town meeting. Is that section 530?
5:30.
5:30, yeah.
Yeah, it was voted
5:25
for
and
the
5:30,
study.
yeah.
I don't know what the planning board's,
Who studied it?
They voted okay.
what?
They voted to move ahead with it.
Okay,
There was no changes.
All right, well, then we'll,
so they did further study it then?
Yes, well,
Okay.
technically.
and then
It
there's,
was further studied, but it's okay to
Yeah,
go
it's
forward
okay
now.
to move forward
Okay.
now.
So the further study process is complete?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
all right. The next is a signed bylaw, and make changes to propose 2018 to 1119.4.10, 1122, 1133, 1135, and eliminate the content-based criteria. So, and I think there's a couple other things. They were working on that, you said last night, right?
They basically have moved ahead on that one also.
Okay, all right, so that's gonna go
Further
ahead.
study on that one.
Then site plan review, Article 15, expand pre-application process and general cleanup of bylaw text. And that's proposed by the planning board.
We're going to go ahead with that one, too.
All right. Design guidelines, Article 7, adding and modifying standards, creating a design review committee. A design review committee?
They had that from before, I'm not sure. Claire, did they vote on that one? I don't think so.
I think so, I'm not positive. I think so. It's something they've been working on for quite a while.
All right, so the next thing here I have is 7, which is transfer of property ownership management to the redevelopment, Littleton Drive, West Wareham School, and the Everett School.
Yeah, West Wareham and Everett don't have to, they've already been
Everett has a
conveyed.
problem, though. Did you see it? Have you seen the front of it?
What, the building?
Yeah, there's holes through the building.
Oh, yeah, we know the building's in rough
It
shape.
is
But as
some
far
real-
as, but as far as,
Building's in very bad condition right now and getting worse.
we had a
because-
tour of it a couple of
because
months
now it's
ago.
open to the weather.
Yeah, we had a tour of it a couple of months ago.
It's bad.
It's got issues.
Yeah.
But West Wareham and Everett have already been turned over to the Selectmen. So actually, they don't require town meeting action. The Selectmen can convey them off to the redevelopment authority because they've already come over to the Selectmen with the authority given to the Selectmen to get rid of them.
Okay.
So
yeah.
those wouldn't come on. So Littleton Drive was the only parcel that would require town meeting action because that's still held by the town, so to speak.
Because I know that, when I spoke to Ken this morning, he said 4 articles they were moving forward with, and the 5th one was that, rezoning area,
Yeah,
that they weren't gonna move forward, they didn't have time
okay.
to actually properly do it. So I'm not sure about 6 and 7 and 8.
Yeah, 8 is some grant funding, but that's,
That's separate.
they'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
Which one's, I'm sorry, I don't have the list, I didn't get copies.
Planning assistant grants for Littleton Drive reuse, total project 45,000.
Yep.
10,560 for FY19 municipal vulnerability action grant, project of 83,741, and 60,000 for multi-hazarded mitigation plan, reimbursement of 48,000 means 12,000 local funds. So, I don't know, that's a FEMA thing.
No, that's, and I'm sorry, that's to speak to that, as we've received these grants, but we have to put in some skin in the game.
That's right.
So
it's
However,
appropriations.
right, we don't have money, we
don't have
budget
the
so
skin.
tightly, we don't have.
don't have the skin.
We don't have the skin to give.
No skins?
So we'd have to bring something forward at town meeting. I think I would put this under sort of the omnibus transfer of free cash
Yeah, it'd be free
article.
cash, the one-time
Yeah.
spenders anyway.
Right, this is to match grant funds and things,
Yeah.
which I think is a proper one-time use of it.
Absolutely.
So you'll be bringing those forward, though?
Correct, yeah.
With regard to the zoning
And that would be in the
articles,
special, those would be in the special town meeting, not the annual.
that's another thing that the planning board may not have considered with regard to any of the articles that were either presented to them or that they came up with, is there is a special town meeting which, can further extend their process. One concern I have, just as an observation, is that if the planning board is requesting articles, there should be something from the chairman of the planning board to you, requesting that these be put on the agenda and disseminated
I think because of,
out.
it's not a good answer, but because of the timing of last night,
No, I get it, but just
basically-
going forward, if we're gonna consider these, there should be some kind of formal notification process to you. We've got 2 more weeks to do this, so I'm not
we can take care of that.
that
as well.
concerned about it. But,
I'll make a note to Janet, but my understanding was 4, so I think article number 6 there.
Yeah.
I don't think that was,
Was part of it.
and I could be wrong, so
Yeah.
we'll find out.
And the last one is to increase the revolving fund in municipal maintenance for Tremont Nail to 500,000.
That's the one we're speaking about, and it wouldn't be,
Considerable revolving fund.
yeah, those limits have been done away with, which is fine.
Yeah, I don't care about that, but they're not crazy about these revolving funds, and I don't know what kind of trouble you're gonna get yourself in at audit time.
The big thing was the Municipal Modernization Act changed a lot of the limitations on revolving funds, so they've eased up on them. if you remember, for the Tremont Nail, any rents and fees and such are supposed to
into that
go into.
fund.
So if we don't put it in there, it does go into the general fund. So you're going to want a holding tank for it, if you will. And that would be the location. And now you want to pay for things such as the maintenance, the costs, and even the costs, if we're going to run activities there, instead of burdening the general fund, that should be paid out of that. So,
Yeah,
I don't
well,
think it'd be just.
hopefully, a lot of the activities will pay for themselves.
Yeah.
Correct, but you have to pay something out of it, and then you get the revenue
Hopefully.
back in.
I mean, that would
So-
be the goal.
So that one.
We've got the money spent, Patrick. We won't be carrying big balances. Don't you worry.
That's nice to know.
That's great. Hey.
You'll be- you like that? Are we all done, boys?
Yeah.
You'll be bringing that one forward also then. Okay, that.
Yes, and that was my only question, was since it got changed again, Municipal Modernization Act, and it's a bylaw, do we have to go about it as a bylaw change? So that's working out with Rich.
We'll give Rich something to do.
All right, so the other thing I have in here, I have cemetery commissioners need $6,000 to $8,000 for purchasing some cemetery materials and our consultant. So, well, this should go to this should have gone to Derek, because that would be up to him to come up, find the money, not
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, they're going to do it from sales of lots and graves, which is,
That's fine, but
Yeah.
if that's what, if you should see it first, I would
right.
think.
He did.
No, it's, one of the commissioners spoke to me. We double-checked, the funds are available, so that's then recommend it's okay to bring it forward.
And then Candle Paper Lane, which we have on the thing tonight.
We will be, we'll have an article for the cemetery commission from them.
And then let's see what else is in here. Let's see what this one is. The article has been reviewed by town council. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to convey real estate title and parcel of a town-owned land. Oh, this is Littleton Drive, so we're fine. Okay, that's a duplicate. Good morning, seems to be the agenda. Okay, this one doesn't mean anything, and we're down to the last one, which is Article 10, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to petition the Massachusetts Legislature to delete Section 7-1, Charter Change Periodic Review from Article 7 of the Wareham Home Rule Charter.
Yeah, this one we voted to put on already.
Okay, so,
Voted,
and
voted
that's it.
last week on
That's all
that
I
one.
got.
There's a
You got
couple of
nothing else?
petition articles that have come in. There was one that came in today, in case you haven't been able to check your email. This relates to notice to people about aquaculture projects in the town.
It just came in, yeah.
It just came in. I actually texted back and forth with the harbor master about it. He has regulations that he's drafted that would accomplish substantially the same thing as what these people are looking for in terms of notice, that are being reviewed by the Division of Marine Fisheries now. So this would be kind of superfluous, and he was kind of surprised because he had told these people that he was doing this, so he was kind of surprised that they nonetheless submitted a petition article. So it goes on by operation of law. We, it's not something that we keep off. But if if he's done with his regulations, it doesn't have to be done by town meeting action. It can just be done by us voting to adopt those regulations, because we do have control over anything related to the fisheries in town, including aquaculture. So I guess we'll see where that goes.
Okay, well, and that'll be relevant to how the town meeting ultimately acts on the article anyway.
Yeah,
So we'll wait and see.
yeah. But I just want people to know that, especially the board, that we did receive this.
Didn't we have this last year, too?
2 years, 2 town meetings ago, right?
Yeah,
We had it before.
I think last spring,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have one other citizens petition article, which is the,
or sewer hookup
yeah,
with an easement.
Yeah, and I believe that's going to change, though. There's going to be some negotiation about that.
Yeah, I would think it'd probably be best at this time if they were withdrawn and,
Yeah, because that article's not going to work.
correct.
So what we need to do is get them to do a different negotiation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
get
makes
that
sense.
solved so they can still accomplish what they want to accomplish.
Certain issues.
So I think that will be taken care of,
Okay.
all right? All right, next would be the vote to approve the layout of Candlepaper Lane.
Okay. When this came in, the review of the actual layout is an issue because basically, the way the layout is, it shows that the town not only is going to accept the road, it's going to accept the sidewalks, drainage, et cetera. And in my opinion only, I don't believe that's what we should be accepting. We should be accepting the road only. And because of the expenses involved and everything else, I believe that when you have a subdivision, the homeowner owns to the curb. And the town really shouldn't be taking care of the sidewalk, et cetera. There's no lights there too, which is another issue that could come up. So I'm going to suggest that we, at this time, refuse to accept Candlepaper Line's request, and they have to resubmit it properly without having that in there.
Yeah, because they could have, right away, could come and ask us to put streetlights in almost immediately,
Yes. among
There's-
other things.
amongst other things.
There's a lot of things. I mean, in reviewing it, it's, if that were a main thoroughfare, maybe from one subdivision or off of a road that we needed access, public safety, it is a dead-end cul-de-sac. It's the town, it's in good shape right now, but the town taking on these sorts of liabilities, I don't know if it makes the most sense. And so that's, again, if we take the sidewalks as well, we are supposed to be maintaining those, plowing them, shoveling them, so are we going to ship guys out there to do that every storm?
No, because we don't do it on half the town-owned roads as it is.
So,
'Cause we
Well,
just
I
don't have
think-
the ability to do every single sidewalk.
Well, I mean, this can be changed easy enough for them, too. They don't have time probably for this town meeting, but they can certainly
They can
change it
resubmit.
by October and resubmit.
Did the municipal maintenance director review this and have any thoughts?
oh, he had talked about they had not cleaned out the catch basins and things like that. Nobody had done that. It hadn't been cameraed or anything, any of this.
So there's still some work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, for sort of the general simple aspect of it, that's been done, but these other sorts of concerns, and it's actually going to speak to the third rail, which I would not talk about for this town meeting, but fall, whether we want to start looking into whose responsibilities it is for the sidewalks.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's very interesting. The other thing, too, imagine if you had to run down there and put streetlights up on a road that we just accepted. You know how many people out there are still waiting for their streetlights to get repaired?
Yeah.
I do.
And all of a sudden, we just jump on that? That wouldn't be, there'd be a lot of unhappy people out there. Because there is a list, as we know, and they're all trying to get to them all, and money's always an issue. So I think that maybe we'll just put this off and see if we can come back at it another time.
Well, to make it proper, I'd like a motion to, at this time, not accept Candlepin Road as
As presented.
Candle
presented,
Your
sorry.
motion.
Spacey.
Uh,
I can't make the motion.
You can, but I will.
I just did.
Okay.
All right, Peter made it, I second.
Went in one ear and out the other, and then out my mouth.
Okay.
What you said.
Yeah.
So that's what he said?
So a yes vote is to not put it on the warrant.
Okay.
Second?
Motion by
Patrick.
Peter, second by Patrick. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Just as an aside, in most
Right.
municipalities, homeowners are responsible for the sidewalks in front of their houses, keep them clear.
The next is a 61A option for 344 Glen Charlie Road. The planning board at a regular scheduled public hearing on January the 14th voted 400 to recommend removing property from, located at 344 Glen Charlie from agricultural exemption under Massachusetts General Law 61A. Now, imagine we sent this out to all the boards, right? Like,
If you look at the,
yeah, I see it here, yeah.
And that's all we got back?
Yep.
no, that's what we get back from them, but also these other boards
Yeah,
responded.
okay, so everybody got it, and nobody wanted it, so.
Okay.
Nobody thought they could afford it.
I'm going to make a counter argument for this. One, and I would ask if somebody has some historical knowledge, and one thing that we've been alerted to is potentially the Wareham Fire District had tried to set up a cell tower across the street and was turned down. Did anybody, is that just scuttlebutt? That's what I'm trying to figure out. The other thing is, I think we should vote to exercise our option on this and enter into further negotiations and put an article at town meeting for us to purchase the property.
Is there a value that we can actually do?
It's a 2,500 square foot piece of property.
Okay.
It's probably not worth much.
The other
Oh, I know
interesting.
exactly what he's thinking. I can see it over there, and I'm okay with it,
Yeah, that's fine.
right?
Hey,
So if that's what you want to do, I get it.
the real estate business is good if you can make money on it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All of a sudden, the worm turns, huh? Yeah. Now he
The
wants to
wheels are
take- Now
turning.
he wants to take an interest in land.
All right, so I move that we do not exercise the option under 61A and exercise our option to purchase the property.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Mary. Any questions from the board? Make sure everybody is clear that the town has decided that they want to purchase the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there'll be a town meeting article to see whether town meeting authorizes it.
Correct. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Rich, you typing it up now?
Yeah, probably already done.
We'll have to, time is of the essence on this notification going out, so,
Okay.
thank you.
Will it come out of your office, or you want it to come out of the selectman's office?
Office.
Yeah, it should come out of the selectman's office. We'll speak to Janet tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning? I'll
Thank
send her
you.
a note also to inform the people.
Huh? Yes. All right, so next I have discussion and vote of the Tommy Homestead status.
Okay, I put this on the agenda because they will be meeting on Thursday. What I'm asking is two things. This is a difficult situation for a lot of people in all different areas. I'm asking the board to basically vote to support the hospital in, unfortunately, the removal of the homestead in order to get a larger ER, et cetera. And then the second piece would be to allow me to go to the meeting on Thursday and speak in favor of the homestead being removed and to allow the hospital to expand.
I would, one thing I would add to that is not just a vote to remove the homestead, but also to support the expansion of the hospital.
It goes hand in hand.
Well, I would, yeah, I would mention both in the letter, and that you support the expansion of the hospital and also, you know, the removal of the homestead if that's what the hospital deems necessary to proceed with their expansion.
That's right. They're moving forward. It's a
Yeah.
hardship request, and I think that's a pertinent part of the vote.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead, Patrick.
I want to say that I'm saddened that it didn't work out, the process that we started way back when we took sort of control of the property, and then redid it and all that, and went through that whole process, and especially Paul Pearl, God rest his soul, who worked hard and diligently to rehab that building and get it into usable condition. I mean, he restored it to its original condition, and for a specific rental purpose and so on. And, you know, in the process of that, he ended up losing his home over it and everything else. And I feel really, you know, sad that it ended up reverting back to the hospital, to that now they're gonna tear it down. That was part of the deal. I want everybody to understand that. The deal was that they gave it to us to get it up and running and rent it and do whatever. It didn't happen. So therefore, by the contract, the agreement, it goes back to them.
and they were still under the window. They could have
Yes, they
torn
could
it
have.
down at that point, and they did not.
And they didn't, and they held it as long as they could. And I'm sad to see it go, but it's, unfortunately, I don't see how we get around not just doing this.
If we want to have a hospital in this town in 10 years, unfortunately, this is the trade-off.
Yep, I'm sad. So, what do you need from us? Do you want you want me to make a motion? What do you want the
Yeah,
motion?
I'll need a motion, one, to support the hospital and
Okay, I move we support the hospital and the removal of the Toby Homestead,
and the expansion of the
and the
hospital.
expansion of the hospital.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Then the next motion is to allow me to go before the Wareham Historic District Commission and to basically testify that our support of this particular project.
Move that we allow Chairman to go on our behalf in front of the Historical Commission to voice
District
our
Commission.
support for the project.
Historic District
Historic District, sorry.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll abstain. 401.
Just don't abstain on Thursday.
I can't abstain on Thursday. You already voted for it. Thank you very much.
All right, possible vote to extend special municipal employee status to appointed school members.
That would be Jeff Sweat. We did this back in 2013. I think Peter may have done it originally, if I remember right, since Mr. Sweat was no longer a school committee member, but is back as a temporary fill to make it, so there's no questions.
Because
We're
he's
just gonna
also a coach.
Yeah. we
Right,
wanna
he works as
review
a
it again.
coach, and he drives a check, and although he always donates
Drives a-
it back,
Drives a bus, not a truck.
drives the bus, all that, even though he gives the money back because the checks are issued in his name, we still have to grant him special municipal employee
Didn't we
status.
do this once and give the school department a vote?
No, it was just a member.
Sure it was just a member? Because
We did it across the board.
I thought we did it, see, I think she agrees. I think we did it across the board.
Did it as a policy. It's a selectmen's policy.
Okay.
We did that a long time ago, but when Jeff came on, we actually did separately just to make sure there was no question about it. So I just want to keep it the
Council has
same.
something to add. I'm pretty sure we did it as a policy or something. I remember it.
It is a policy.
Uh,
Then we wrote the policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regardless of past practice and policy, the way the conflict of interest law is written is that you can't designate particular individuals to become special municipal employees.
Which is what this is doing.
It applies to entire classes of office holders, for example, school committee, planning board, zoning board of appeals.
I remember, this is exactly what came up the last time.
Yeah, so you wouldn't designate an individual, you would say
Correct.
school committee designated as special municipal employee, and then however the person arrives,
So moved.
they arrive.
Do we
So
need-
did
Do we
you
need
need,
to
Is
do
it already
that where we
done?
already have a policy?
yeah, if they
Rich?
did it
Yeah.
2013, it was never rescinded.
Yeah, 2013, we did it individually, though.
Yeah,
If you, well,
yeah, I found it on an agenda, that's why,
yeah,
back then.
if you're in doubt, you can redo it. If you have already designated the position of school committee member as special municipal
think we did.
employee.
We did it as a blanket policy.
We did a policy, but
We had the issue.
All right, I'll tell you what, I'll fix it for now.
Can't hurt to
I
be
move that
baptized
we
twice.
approve, we
designate the school
we
committee
designate the school
as-
committee as special municipal employee.
Second,
All right, that'll take care of that.
Thank you.
yeah,
Motion by Patrick,
Fine.
second by
this'll-
Peter.
yeah.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Nope.
None heard, all in favor?
Aye,
Opposed, abstaining, 500.
all right.
That works.
So this doesn't need
Just
to be
as a quick-
signed.
Just as a quick note, I'll pull the policy out, and we'll look at it a little bit later on
Yeah.
during the year to see what it is, because I know when we wrote it, it was because we lost 2 or 3 members from different committees
That has
back
to be
about
changed.
8 years ago, maybe, 7 years ago, and we went ahead and put a policy in to eliminate the problem.
Okay.
Mr.
This we just
Chairman,
need to
when
sign
it-
from the meeting the other
When it
night.
comes to things like policies,
It's just the appointment of Jeff.
you know, my
the school
approach,
committee.
and I think the courts
So
probably
just-
agree with me,
They don't count.
policies come and go, but the laws given to us by the legislature
Doesn't-
stick to us.
It's fine with me.
Which reminds me, we still have an issue, you know, we did at one point allow the town administrator to make his appointments in the sort of without, that weren't department heads and so on. Remember? And
Oh,
we were
right, the
supposed to renew that
ratifications.
every year because, you know, different members change as he, what do you call it? And we need to do that again if we're gonna do it. So can we put that on the agenda so that it gets accomplished?
What do you want?
To put on the, a revote on the appointments that the town administrator is allowed to make without bringing it in front of our board.
And I think I've got one more of those faux pas I need to bring forward during the
I know there is. See? What do you think? Think I'm born yesterday?
thought you might get me on that one.
I wondered if that was gonna come out.
Seen you jump on your sword so
Everybody
fast.
signed, right? Yeah.
Is that on the
Yeah.
agenda?
No, this wasn't, this was just for
Never
us to
signed it.
sign. So no big deal. All right. The other thing I want to ask you, if you don't mind, can I ask one question of the town administrator?
If you have to.
All right. Do you know the guy that we were working on getting electric rates lowered, you know, that electric thing? How's that going?
That's
Is that
me.
still under,
That's me.
oh, you're the guy? No, we hired a guy.
He's ready kilowatt.
No, not hired. That was, we went through town meeting to go into the energy
Consultant and all that,
aggregation.
remember?
And it was basically going with Serped
Yeah.
on the whole thing.
And there was
so.
a million towns in the thing and all that.
Yeah.
Whatever happened with that?
You want to know that?
I do want to know, that's why I asked.
The person is Good Energy is the name of the company. John and I are both on the MMA, so I see him frequently.
Okay.
Because we had to go to town meeting and get a vote to go ahead with it, we missed the cutoff date for the original application through Serped.
Okay.
So we are still going back and forth trying to get Wareham included in because we were not in the original application and been having difficulty getting us in. So I apologize because savings would have been between $100 and $250 per resident.
I know.
And right now, the numbers, if we had to go in now, would be very small, almost not worth the aggravation.
Yeah, and just to clarify, it wasn't like we missed it by a day or a month. They said, well, by the time we put our warrant article out there, they had already basically done it.
That's too
So they
bad.
thought we could hop in on there, but it hasn't worked that way with the aggregation program, so.
You would have thought they would have kept us informed of the date. I mean, this was going on for a long time.
No, because we had to go through town meeting, they had a time frame. So what the problem was, is we were really like 6 months late.
No, that's
And,
just,
you know, that's the problem
that's
with
just
town meeting. When you miss a town meeting and you have something come up, you gotta wait 6 months.
that's sad.
So I'm still working on it.
All right. It's just something I remembered tonight, and I thought I'd bring it up.
That's fine.
Under the TA report.
Yeah, well, we're not there yet, but I thought I'd ask it anyway.
Yeah, no, it's when he got
I
his
have another
Eversource.
one for you in the TA.
It's like me, when he got the Eversource bill.
And your little faux power, I'm sure you're going to fix. Vote, okay, next is the vote to accept the donation from Lukey Playground, and I have it in front of me. On behalf of the town of Wareham, we wish to extend our appreciation and gratitude for the generosity of the donation to the Lukey Playground. And this is to Marilyn Jones.
Marlene Jones.
Marlene, I guess, I'm sorry, yeah, Marlene. And I have a copy of the check here. So I move that we accept the gift and that the chair be allowed to sign it.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Mr. Chair.
I'd like to thank everybody involved with the Lukey Playground. They've done a fantastic job, and even a better job keeping it up with no vandalism.
All right, any other town business not reasonably anticipated in the last 48 hours?
None.
Tony?
None.
Mary?
No.
Nope.
Peter?
That brings us to the
I don't
town
think you have to say anything.
administrator's report.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to alert pending the vote or confirmation of the selectmen. We have hired a business manager for the WPCUF who also serves as the director of procurement. It's Mr. Ellis Bailey, who has more degrees than most people have. I don't know. It's a ridiculous amount. There's some analogy. He's, yes, so I'll stop right there. He's worked with AD Makepeace, has served very well on the finance committee for years, and I think it's going to be a great hire. And I would recommend that, since this is technically a department head level, as it's a director, that the Board of Selectmen ratify this hiring.
Yeah, you have 14 days.
I move we approve the appointment of Mr. Bailey by the town administrator.
Ratify, approve.
Ratify, yeah.
Actually, ratify is the language in the charter, I believe.
I think it's ratify, yeah.
I don't believe it needs to be on an agenda item,
No,
because he's
it can
allowed
be
to
in
hire.
his report, it's fine.
24 hours.
The way the charter reads, we have 14 days.
What are you
to-
doing?
If we don't approve it within 14 days or whatever, then it's automatic.
Well, let's ask council.
You can ask council.
We can always do a subsequent on Tuesday, just a confirmation.
If it's necessary, town council, yes, no?
I think you're fine.
Thank you. Motion by Patrick?
Yeah.
Who would you have? Second by Peter? Or was it Tony?
Peter.
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Look at that,
Thank you very much.
and we're
I
back
know-
on track.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'm willing to answer questions now. Or not, just hear them and maybe.
Oh, you want to know
Right in
my
the
other
book.
question was?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead, go for it.
I was,
Are you sure?
no, I was. We were just talking about streetlights, and I know that there's a plan that we're moving forward with the streetlights. And just for everybody's sort of whatever, How are we doing?
So that is a wonderful
Last time, I
question.
think we put $50,000 is all we were able to put in it.
Well, 50,000 would usually get you almost 75 to 100,000 worth of valuation with the incentives. I'm meeting with Seth Pickering, who's our Green Communities representative, on Thursday. We've been talking about the street lights. I asked whether the 200,000 that roughly that we've received, that'd be a good opportunity for it. He believes there's another incentive program coming out, and we're eligible for it as a member of the Green Communities. So we have, out of the 1,600, we have 1,000 left to upgrade to LED, which is actually pretty good, believe it or not, with the amount of money we've just been putting aside and doing it sort of.
Yeah, we've been using small little amounts, so.
So, and part of that as well is we're looking at, we put aside 135,000 for streetlights every year. That is almost entirely the electrical costs. So as we move these over to LED, there's going to be some savings, and now we can use those savings, keep the budget the same, and have those for actual repairs going out for streetlights. Now, understand, LED lights themselves will last years, a decade, if you will, but people don't understand that there's sensors on top of those. They can be damaged, they can fail, and things like that. So we also don't have the capability of change those in-house. So what we like to do is basically you try and get a bid protocol so you can get everybody at once. And I understand that it can be frustrating. I do. But that's been, in the environment that we are, cost-wise, that's been the best way to do it.
Okay.
So it's long-winded, but we're basically looking to use other entities' monies to finish out this project. But I think, I gotta say, municipal maintenance, Mr. Menard, Ms. Healy, and the staff have done a great job in putting this forward. And frankly,
So if we have 1,000 more to go.
I'd say
and if you
roughly.
can grab some extra money, what are we talking, another year or so, another 2 years? What are we talking about?
I would say a year to 18 months, if we can get into the competitive grant, I think we have a good
So
shot.
that's not too bad. We're almost home.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and then we'll see if we can't put some money aside for some of the continued repairs. But when you're talking about with the incentives, it's cheaper to actually convert to LED. It makes
Oh,
all
no,
the sense in the
absolutely.
world.
Saving electricity is incredible.
One of the other things over the winter, I was up in Boston, and I know the first thing we'll get shouted at us is we're not Boston. But I started looking at some of the street lights, and I noticed that they're plaqued and sponsored by folks. And I thought that might be a nice thing to bring to community for the period lights, to memorialize folks and really try and see if the folks would be willing to sponsor the lights. Because some of them are so degraded that they have to be completely replaced. And as you know, that's costly. That's a couple thousand per unit, so.
Well, see what you can do.
What's that?
Do sections of roads also.
Yeah. So it's just, that's just a thought for the future, if we could maybe plaque some of those and work together on them, so.
And my last thing is, the senior work-off program we talked about. We talked about expanding it. Have you thought any more about that?
Yeah, I think your recommendation to give a little bit more money on there, and by a little bit, I don't mean $1 or $2, but bringing it more into line. The one thing I know that I'm going to try and meet with Ms. Dezek on Thursday, and they'd been talking about relaxing the income guidelines. I don't know if necessarily that's the best thing, because when you don't have all the money in the world, you want it to really go to those that need it the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's absolutely you do. You want it to get to those people that are struggling.
Yeah, that was a big issue before.
Yes.
The people that didn't need it are the ones that ended up getting it.
Yeah, you don't want that to be a problem again. I mean, if they don't need it, then they should not take it.
Right.
And we should give it to the people that it's important to. Because like I say, you know, we're gonna build a school and other things, and we need to,
Like a type.
anything we can do to help them is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah, and we get some great workers out of it, too.
And we do get some good workers, you're right. They're very conscientious, and you don't worry about them going to play a video game. Or taking their phone out and, playing on the phone.
And Mr. Tropiano has been leaning on me pretty hard on something else, and that's trying to fund a part-time COA director. And as the budget's been developed, we have the money in there with our general government to put the COA director. So.
This is a surprise.
Yeah, well, it's you're good.
How'd you pull this rabbit out of your hat?
You're good at yelling at me over it. So.
It was out of his hat.
Wow.
So
I
right
can't believe it. I finally got through. That's awesome.
So
Thank you.
we have it in there for the part-time. Again, I'm going to meet with Ms. Dezek because I think we can get some part-time hours and then supplement that with the way the COA formula grant's going right now.
Awesome. Awesome. That's really good news. Okay, great. All right, I'm done. I'm good. So liaison reports if he's done.
You happy?
I'm happy, yeah. You kidding me? That's good news.
That's the last opening we got. Mary? No?
I guess not.
No, I'll wait till next week.
Patrick?
I went to the school, I've been to a bunch of meetings this week, but the first, important one is everybody wants to hear about, I'm sure, is the school. And the school is moving along, it's meeting its deadlines. There's a lot of people working hard. They're sort of, trying to refine everything, get it down to the basis. There's a lot of dates coming up that will be important. I think February is one of the dates relevant to the tear down of the school when the contract goes out, if I'm not mistaken, for the tear down of the school that exists now. There'll be actually a couple of contractors there to do some things and so on. So that's underway, which is great. They are talking about maybe slowing the project down a little bit, and the reason why they're talking about doing that is there's a lot of bidding going on right now for a lot of projects, and we don't want the rate to go up, so it may be that we might have to slow it down a month or two just to try to get into the next wave, so there's less competition out there and save us some money. And it's nice that everybody thinks about that stuff. Oftentimes everybody just charges ahead, but I got to tell you, this committee is really intent on saving dollars, and I really appreciate them a lot. I want them to know that. And I know one of them is here now, who's the chairman of the Finance Committee. So
We've seen that work with some of the roofs projects that we've bid out, especially the timing, it's gone down,
Exactly. And you see, if you go out at a certain time, especially like going into the summer market, everybody's busy and everybody's doing everything. So they throw crazy numbers out at you. So sometimes if you extend it past the build-out time of the summer, you get a better rate. So, they're going to play with it a little bit and to see if they can come up with some savings that way, which is always good because savings is savings,
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, one of the things actually from our redevelopment authority meeting earlier tonight was we have the 200th anniversary of the Tremont Nail Factory this year. It was first established in 1819, it's now 2019. So we're looking for volunteers to come forward with ideas about how to properly honor the property and the history of nail making in the town. Over the past couple of years, we've had individual events out there in August. So the banquet setting with arts, entertainment, food and drink. We're looking to expand on that considerably just because it is the 200th anniversary. So if people have ideas, please get in touch with myself or the Director of Planning, Ken Buckland, and let us know what your thoughts are. Because we'd really like to, have a high note this year with it.
All right.
I want to mention the appointment that we had, that meeting that we had on Thursday.
I can mention it, but it's already been in the newspaper.
Oh, okay, I didn't know whether, just so, the people that watch us on a
Per
regular
the
basis.
request of Selectman Tropiano, just want to reaffirm that Mr. Sweat was appointed for the temporary 2+ months to the school committee.
Well, it was a good process. I mean, we had interviews and so on, which I thought was great, and all the candidates were good. But in the end result, that's who we chose, and, we look forward to a brisk, debate as time goes on for the position itself.
Okay. Sewer commissioners did have a meeting on Saturday for explanation of what was going to happen over, I think it's Swiss Beach.
Yes.
And there was information from Danny Warren from Warren Environmental and stuff on how the project would go and how it would go by sections. Which didn't really come out well in the newspapers was the critical piece that people's sump pumps that are illegally tied into their sewer system in the individual houses is a real problem when this project goes on, because if the sump pump is kicking in and pumping water out and you're trying to line the pipes, it creates a real problem.
Yes.
And the material used doesn't bond properly, et cetera. And I think we had this problem last time over Swiss Beach. And Mr. Warren covered most of the damage, but it was close to $200,000 worth of damage. Won't happen this time, so please don't have your sump pump working and connected illegally, because you could be responsible for that kind of money,
I'd have to take you offline.
among other things. And they'll be going section by section, so people will be notified, and everything should go fairly smoothly. But I just want to bring that forward. That's an important piece for us.
Mr. Chairman, it's just so people understand is they can trace it. We have the cameras, and it goes right to where the water's intruding. So folks think it's
They're invisible because it's
yeah,
below ground, it's
yeah.
not.
But I just want people to know that it's not that we're trying to be hard about it. The problem is that if we're going to be spending $4 million on a project, we don't want to sit there and have to go back and do it a second time because of people not being concerned what has to be done.
it stops it from curing, which is the big thing.
Well, it actually turns into like an inverted V
Yeah.
also inside here, which means you have to grind it all out again,
So
and that just doesn't work.
Yeah, so if you're connected, disconnect.
Please.
Now.
Trying to think what else we had. We already talked about that. We met talking about the charter changes that we're looking at. We're looking pretty strongly trying to bring to town meeting, probably to the, I don't know if we'll do a special town meeting or the regular, the idea of changing the election date to May and pushing everything back so we have proper time for all these articles in March and everything, which should make life not so much simpler, but a lot more clearer, and people will have enough time to look at all the articles before they actually come into town meeting and vote on it. It's a major change for the charter. It was discussed 10 years ago, really.
It was, yeah.
And we moved stuff back about a month and a half, but it's still not enough.
No.
So hopefully this will come through and we will do that as well. That's all I have for tonight.
All right, that's it. Liaison to consent agenda, I believe I have nothing. And the last thing would be to adjourn.
So moved.
We have minutes?
We don't have any minutes.
Nope.
None.
Okay, that'll be next week then.
Yeah.
Executive minutes, not in?
There's no minutes, there's nothing.
Okay.
All right.
Motion to adjourn by
I made.
Peter, second by Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
500. Good night, Wareham.
Good night.